Hello everybody, it's Patty here with Life with Patty, and I thank you for stopping by my channel. Today I am doing a challenge that was given to me and others by Dawn at Sensible Living with Money Mom. She did a challenge on the pros and the cons of where she lives, and I believe she lives in the Dallas, Texas area. And so she listed her pros and her cons, and she asked anybody that does YouTube to do the same. And so I thought it might be interesting for me to do one as well, since I live in a very small community, and a lot of you are from bigger cities and just can't even imagine having to live in such a small town. But then there's others that live way out in the country or live in even smaller towns than I do, and they're like, girlfriend, this is a walk in the park. So, okay, I live in Northern California in a small community. We have about 6,000 population of our town. The whole county has a population of about 12,000. We're about 75 miles north of Sacramento. And we are the county seat for our county. The town that I live in is the county seat, and I do live out in the country, so it's about a 15-minute drive into town. I'm about 10 miles out of town, and I love that because I don't have any neighbors. I have one neighbor, it's my landlord, and she's just as quiet as a mouse. And so the only stuff that we hear out here are my wind chimes and the birds, and during the day when it's season for farming, you know, we hear the tractors going and the harvesters going and that stuff. But I'll take that over sirens and screaming and fighting and all that stuff any day. So, all right, I'm going to start out with the pros of living where I live. There's no traffic here. 6,000 population, there's no traffic. The only time we have traffic is, you know, that we have a county fair once a year, and we have a parade on the Friday of the county fair. And so after the parade, it's a little backed up in town, and it's kind of a little bit of traffic then. And the 4th of July, we have fireworks at the fairgrounds, and sometimes you'll get backed up with traffic there. They're also working on one of our main roads in town, Caltrans is, and so, because they're working on the street, they'll stop traffic, and so of course that's going to create traffic. But on a normal day, there's no traffic in this town, so I like that. Second pro to me, and could be not a pro to other people's, is that you know everybody in your small town. Some people don't like that. They're like, oh, they know my business. Well, they will know your business if you let them know your business. I mean, there are some things that happen when somebody becomes very sick, or somebody gets a divorce, or somebody cheats on somebody, you know. I mean, yeah, waka, waka, waka. It is the talk of the town. But if you live in a big city and you have a group of people that you hang around with all the time, and one of those things happens, that group of people is going to talk about it just as much as our town is going to talk about it. So that happens wherever you go. So you know what? Okay, whatever. It is what it is. So you're going to get gossip in a small town. You're going to get gossip in a big city within your realm of people that you live in. You know, so to me, it's a pro to me that everybody knows everybody. When my son was in kindergarten, he decides he's going to walk home from school, and we live out in the country. And 5 years old, he walks out of the playground all the way out of town. He's almost home. And one of the gals that works at the sheriff's department recognized him and pulled over and said, "What are you doing? Why are you walking home?" "Oh, because, you know what, Johnny, he dared me. He said I wouldn't do it, so I'm doing it." So, because we live in a small community, and she knew him, and she knows us, she called us, we answered the phone, and she's like, "I have your son here. He decided to walk home." What? So anyways, was not good. I was not happy with the school for that. But, you know, luckily he was safe, and nothing happened, and the school was addressed about it, and the situation was taken to hand. And I mean, that was years ago, but, you know, I was happy that we lived in a small community, and she knew who he was, and she called us, and everything was fine. So I like that we know, everybody knows everybody. Third thing is that there is a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables accessible to us at all times, living in California and living in the area we live in. We live in a farming community. That is the main source of income in our community, is farming. We farm rice, we farm walnuts, almonds, peaches, prunes, tomatoes. We have tomato factories. We have a prune factory here. And those do supply a lot of jobs, but they're seasonal jobs, but they pay well. And so, you know, we are very fortunate for those companies. And, you know, you could be eating something from Sunsweet. It was maybe manufactured and grown right here in our town. You might get some rice, and it was grown right here. We have a lot of farming that goes on in this community. We have great fruit stands, so we can stop off at a fruit stand and get wonderful fresh fruits and vegetables, better than you're going to get at a Rayleigh's or a Bel Air or any grocery store. And we are very fortunate for that. Number 4, the rent or the cost of a house living in Northern California is much cheaper here than anywhere else in Southern California or in the Bay Area of California. Now, a house goes for about $185,000 to $350,000 for your average house here in our community. However, if you go to San Francisco, if you go to Santa Clara, San Jose, if you go to Los Angeles, that same house that cost you $185,000 to $350,000 here will be over $1 million. I know that back in the Midwest and the back south and in the north, houses aren't as expensive as California. I know that, like New York City and the bigger cities, Boston and Chicago and you know, big cities of California, housing is a lot more expensive than that. Rent varies here from about $700 up to about $1,200 or $1,300. I think that's expensive. But then when you look at renting something in San Francisco, you're going to pay $2,500 a month. So for the most part, rent and housing prices are cheaper here in Northern California, okay? Another pro is that we have no smog. However, during certain times of the year, after we're done harvesting, they do some burning of the stubble of the rice and the levees when they're to control for burning. They will burn it, a controlled burn, so that it won't get out of control. If that makes sense to you guys, it makes sense to us. During that time, the air is smoky, and it's not great, but I'll take it over the smog because it's only for a short time of the year, not all the time. Where in the big cities you get smog all the time. Here in Northern California, we don't get any smog. I've said this so many times and I'll say it again. Our tiny little town of 6,000 has the most beautiful parks. We are so lucky, and I am going to do some videos on some of our parks. They're nothing like the parks in the big cities, like going to San Francisco or going to New York and seeing their gorgeous parks there. I would love to see the parks of, I do YouTube videos just to go see the parks of New York City. A lot to offer there. But we have small parks, but they're beautiful. The playgrounds are clean and they're new. The grass is green. There's lots of area to play. They're beautiful parks for such a small little town. And I will do some videos on our beautiful parks. And I always treasure our beautiful parks. I take my lunch during the spring, summer, and fall, if the weather permits, and I go eat at the park because it's just so pretty outside. Okay. We have the Sacramento River that runs right through our town, and so there's a lot of fishing in the river that you can do. People ski in the river, people float down the river, and so there's a lot of activity with the river. It's just beautiful. And we are also known as one of the best counties for hunting in the state of California for ducks and pheasants. And I know a lot of you maybe don't agree with that. I'm just telling you, it is known as one of the best hunting communities in the state of California. And we do get a lot of people that come from out of this area to hunt here. So it is a plus for our community. Another pro is the crime is not as bad here as the big cities. We do have crime. We do have our share of crime, that's for sure. But it's not as much as if you go to the bigger cities. Okay. And then this one, I don't know if it's a pro or a con, but it's just kind of funny. We have tons of hairdressers, churches, and bars. I don't know why, but we do. And all the hairdressers are busy, all the churches are full, and all the bars are full. So it is what it is, but we do have those three things. Okay, let's go on to some cons about living here. We have to drive a fair amount of distance, at least 40 miles, for any conveniences. Okay, so we have a grocery store, we have a Rite Aid, we have another independent pharmacy, we have a sporting goods store, we have a feed store, we have a couple florists, we have a cute little candy shop. Other than that, you've got to go out of town if you want anything. So, if I split my pants, 40 miles to go. If my bra breaks, boom, I gotta go 40 miles. If I need a new pair of shoes, oh, we have a Dollar General. So, I mean, you could get by with a, you know, cheap little pair of tennis shoes, but you gotta go. If your DVD player breaks or your vacuum cleaner, no, I take that back. You can get a vacuum cleaner at the hardware store. But if you need a mixer or something like that, you got to go out of town for it. So we get used to it and we deal with it and we go when we need to. But for some people, they think that's not great. Okay, we don't have a great hospital here. There's new owners that just took it over, but they're still working things out, but we have no labor and delivery here in our county. So when you have a baby, boom, you got to go at least 50 miles out of town. Not 40, but 50, because you got to cross over the bridge to get to the hospital, or you got to go even further to Chico or Woodland or Sacramento or Davis. So yeah, I had my babies out of town and you know, everything worked out fine, but you do have to go out of town to deliver your baby. The universities, I mean, there's a lot of universities in California. However, for us, you're going to drive at least an hour to get to Chico State or Sac State or UC Davis. I mean, there's tons of other universities in California, but nothing close by us. We do have a junior college that has a small campus in our community. And other than that, then they got to go out of town and drive for a ways. But a lot of the kids want to get out of the area and they want to go somewhere for college and then they come back, or they don't come back, you know, they get a job in the big city or whatever. So that's a con. We don't have a lot of entertainment here. If you want to go to the movies, off you go. If you want to, we have a 10-lane bowling alley, and that's about it. If you want to do any other kind of entertainment, you got to go out of town. There's not a lot of activities for the kids to do other than we have a great 4-H program. We have great soccer for the kids. They have 4-H. I mean, they have, I already said 4-H, but they have Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We have a little dance studio in a smaller town within the community, within the county, but if they want to do gymnastics or anything like that, you got to go out of town. So you definitely need a car, because our public transit only runs from Monday through Friday, and it closes at 5:30. So you need a car. And there's not a lot of housing, so once you find a house here, you get it. I mean, especially if you're renting, there's not a lot of rentals. So you kind of have to wait it out or take what you can get. So with the pros and the cons, I do love where I live. I don't know that I'd want to live anywhere else unless I was to move closer to my son and grandkids, but then I have a couple sons here with my grandkids here. I do love where I live. So if you are a YouTuber, we would love to hear your pros and cons of where you live, okay? And let me know what you think. Tell me what the pros and cons of is where you live. And I'll talk to you later. All right, you guys. Bye-bye.